Good evening.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law, voted best of Las Vegas. Give them a call, 702-727-9900. News 25 is also brought to you by Desert View Hospital. You can count on us.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. I'm Missy Kohler. Welcome to News 25. In our continuing coverage of the Cathedral Canyon murder trial, the prosecution team called expert witnesses to the stand who testified about firearms used in the murder of Roy Jaggers and also spoke about the autopsy. RJ has this report.
On May 8th of this year, the trial continued for the murder of 27-year-old Roy Jaggers at Cathedral Canyon. Sergeant Fowles was brought back onto the stand to clarify lab results done on various tools belonging to Brad Main, the one on trial for the murder of Jaggers. During the defense's cross-examination, it was stated by Fowles that all three axes and a knife came back negative for Roy's DNA. However, sneakers found in Dent's car came back positive for Roy's DNA, and the bayonet came back positive for both Jaggers and Main. Later, Nye County Sheriff's Office Detective Wesley Fancher was brought to the witness stand. He was responsible for investigating Cathedral Canyon. During Detective Fancher's investigation, he discovered 2 spent shotgun shells in the bushes at the canyon. Those shells were later confirmed to be usable by the shotgun retrieved by Sergeant Fowles for evidence. Fancher then inspected the shotgun to make sure it actually worked and that it could fire. Fancher then explained to the jury how a pump-action shotgun worked. He did the same with the Glock retrieved from Main's truck. After inspecting the shotgun further and confirming it was unloaded, he demonstrated the firing of 3 shots. Fancher then was asked about the GSR test he had done on Brad Main, GSR being a test to uncover gunshot residue on a suspect. While the test was done on Main, Fancher was unsure of the results from the lab. Dr. Brad Murray was then brought to the stand to testify as they were responsible for the autopsy done on Roy Jaggers.
I did see some abrasions, I saw some contusions, I saw some shotgun wound injuries, I also saw some sharp injuries and thermal injuries.
He also explained photos that were shown of x-rays depicting multiple broken bones in Roy's body that Murray determined to be from shotgun wounds. He also performed a toxicology on the body as well, showing Roy had methamphetamines and THC in his system. Tom Gibson's cross-examination showed Murray did not take tissue samples of the wounds and could not confirm injuries in the anus of the body. The final witness of the day was Michael Lasher, who was a mitigation specialist and was responsible for determining Main's mental state. However, he confirmed to not be a mental health specialist. Judge Wonker allowed Lasher to testify on Main's mental state if he is convicted. To close the day, Main was given his constitutional rights regarding whether or not he'd like to testify. If so, he will be examined by his attorney and cross-examined by the prosecution team.
The law does not compel a defendant in a criminal case to take the stand and testify, and no presumption may be raised, and no inference of any kind may be drawn from the failure of the defendant to testify.
Stay tuned for more on this ongoing story.
Murder suspect Brad Main testified yesterday in district court about his participation leading up to Roy Jaggers' death and after. Back to RJ for this part of the report.
Yesterday, the trial for the murder of Roy Jaggers continued with the accused, Brad Main, taking to the witness stand. Brad opened up talking about how he was abused and molested by his stepfather who was convicted of the crime, then began recalling the night the murder occurred when Heather Pate, one of the 2 who pleaded guilty in this case, called him.
She proceeded to tell me that she had caught somebody molesting her children. And I was like, okay, so call the cops. That's what they're there for.
Heather allegedly stated they were beyond that point and the only way Roy was leaving this apartment was in a bag. Brad stated he didn't want to go because he was getting ready for bed, but eventually conceded and met up at the firing range. Brad stated he believed Heather came alone, but was upset to see Kevin Dent, the other of the two who pleaded guilty in this case, and Roy Jaggers, the victim. Brad then continued saying Dent allegedly brought out tools from Maine's truck, as Maine and Pate argued. He stated Dent was the one torturing Jaggers and allegedly tried to intervene, but couldn't stop it. Afterwards, Brad said he allegedly went back to his house and left them, but met back up after Heather and Dent agreed to let Roy go. After meeting up with them at Cathedral Canyon, he stated he was allegedly intimidated by Dent to help them and that Heather had his shotgun. He claimed that Heather allegedly shot twice and then took 2 more shots, one of which allegedly got Roy. They then allegedly went down and shot Roy's body one last time. Later on, the cross-examination began by District Attorney Patrick Ferguson. Ferguson asked if Maine objected to Kevin using his tools. Brad stated the first time he didn't. The second he allegedly did, and then threatened to call the police. Brad allegedly conceded and tried to talk the situation down.
Did you threaten to call the cops?
I at one time had threatened to call the cops, but I believe that was after I tried to pull Heather away from beating on Roy.
Did you draw your firearm in an attempt to save this person who's being held and beaten?
No, I did not.
But you had one on you.
Yes, I did. Kevin had repeatedly threatened to cut his throat out and shove a stick down his throat. I assumed that along those lines he was probably going to cash in on those threats.
Okay. Yeah, but you were not prepared to use deadly force to protect this man.
At that point, no.
Then Ferguson asked about how many times the gun was fired.
At that point.
Okay. But you testified that you saw him drop on shot number 3.
I saw him drop.
On shot number 3, correct? And that she then took 2 additional shots at his motionless form.
And then finally asked about Captain Berukowitz arresting him.
You told Captain Berukowitz you're the one who fired that gun, right?
I believe I said that to him.
You said it more than once, didn't you?
Probably.
You said to both of them, that body in Cathedral Canyon, I'm responsible for, all right?
Partially, I'm responsible for it.
Okay.
Through inaction, but I didn't say it through inaction at the time.
But you deny now that you said, I killed the child molester instead of letting the cops handle it.
I never said that to them.
Stay tuned tomorrow for more on this trial.
We'll have more News 25 coming up just after the break, so stay with us.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500.
Thanks for staying with us. A man was arrested after he allegedly threatened a public transport employee and refused to leave the area after being confronted by police. Here's the story from News 25.
On May 1st, police responded to a call regarding a man allegedly threatening a public transport employee. The man was later identified as Timothy Shattuck. Shattuck was located at the public library by police. As officers began speaking with Shattuck, Shattuck allegedly refused to identify who they were and kept yelling that they knew who he was. According to the declaration of arrest, the officers have never spoke to Shattuck before. Shattuck allegedly refused to leave the area after being commanded by police to do so. After being given one last chance to identify himself, Shattuck allegedly refused again. Shattuck was then forced to the ground and then arrested and charged with obstructing a peace officer and hindering and delaying investigation.
Nye County Ghostbusters held a successful fundraiser for Never Forgotten Animal Society last Saturday at HypnoComics. George Chase, owner of HypnoComics, has another event happening this coming weekend. Here's George to tell us all about it in today's Business Brief.
Hey, it's George from HypnoComics. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming out to our annual free comic book day event. We had some great people out today, the local Ghostbusters crew doing the drive for the local animal shelter. Wendy was here signing her new book, Belle's Diary. And next Saturday on May 12th, we've got Steve Cardenas, the Red Power Ranger, here signing autographs. So he's going to be here from 12 to 2. You definitely want to mark your calendars for that. And come on down and have some fun at Hypno.
We preview a Las Vegas historic documentary on the 1950s. It is the 5th installment by Boyd Productions and explores Las Vegas this decade, setting the stage for the city we are today. Everything from history of the Nevada test site to becoming Las Vegas, the wedding capital of the world, to Hollywood movies about Las Vegas in the 1950s, and even answers to the questions of when women could work as dealers in Las Vegas. Was the Nevada test site a tourist attraction? And were the 1950s a time of tourism growth in Las Vegas? Are explored. Nancy Burns from KCLV TV produced this story.
As Las Vegas entered the 1950s, the city was well into the post-World War II era. Home lives were getting back to normal, but compared to other cities in the country, life was anything but normal here. Local historian Mark Hall-Patton says it was a decade that was setting up for what Las Vegas was ultimately going to be, like setting a table to prepare for the big party.
It was the decade when we became the place to go to for gaming, for adult play, for a new kind of vacationing. This was the time when you saw huge growth in tourism, and tourism as the kind of industry that we were going to be focusing on here.
The 1950s were also when we became known as a wedding destination, adding to the number of tourists who came to wed and then stayed to honeymoon. Conventions were being booked here. Hollywood rediscovered Las Vegas, and what would seem an unlikely offshoot to the movies came to be the Nevada test site.
The test site affected movies. You had the amazing Colossal Man that was filmed based on the test site and things like that. The Atomic Kid with Mickey Rooney. One of the things I love on that one is that he gets too close to an atomic bomb going off, of course, and one of the powers he gets is he can go up to any slot machine and win.
Speaking of the test site, it was not only starring in movies and becoming a sideshow for residents and tourists.
At that point, you know, the radiation was sun units.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't an issue yet.
It was a thing to do.
Yeah.
It was bringing back federal money in a growing military industry.
It brought in a lot of very highly trained individuals who came in here with a lot of education, a lot of federal dollars coming in, like the Air Force Base when it reopened, and Nellis becomes Nellis in 1950. So these are two places where federal dollars started coming back into the area as well.
Hall-Patton says as our tourism and our population grew, the downtown Fremont Street area was bursting at the seams to accommodate both.
So you had not just the casinos there, the properties as we think of them today, but it also had the business district there. So that was building up as well. You know, you went to Fremont Street to go shopping at that point. And so the stores were still down there, the restaurants were still down there, and that was still sort of the focal point of the city.
Infrastructure had to be improved to accommodate more people.
The city and the county bought out the Las Vegas Land and Water Company and created the water district at that point. This was a time when the roads were being paved, the gaming was changing. You know, they were even changing the kinds of signage that you were seeing downtown and out on the Strip.
With all the growth, Hall-Patton says there were areas the city still needed to make progress, but fell short.
Dealing with segregation, you know, dealing with women having the right to be dealers. In the 50s, there was a an ordinance that came before the city council that said women could be dealers on Fremont Street and properties there, and it was voted down by the city council.
But he says at least we were on the road to recognizing the need for those changes if we were to grow properly. The 1950s were metaphorically the table being set for the party, the bigger and in many ways better decades to come.
A lot of these things that we think of today as just standardly, this is what Las Vegas is, that really built up during the 50s.
You can check out the premiere of The City of Las Vegas, the 1950s, Saturday, May 13th at 7 p.m. on KCLV TV Channel 2 or live streamed at kzlv.tv.com. And you can check out the replay times at kclv.tv.com as well. May is Bicycle Safety Month. We'll tell you more about that just after the break.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. May is National Bicycle Safety Month. Before your kids hop on their bikes and ride off into the sunset, there's something parents need to check: their helmets.
You want to see if there's any cracks, any dents in your helmet, because believe it or not, helmets are only good for one accident, because if they're deformed, then they're not going to function right.
Dr. Richard So is a pediatrician with Cleveland Clinic Children's. He says a helmet is a must for any child riding a bike. Data shows wearing a bike helmet can reduce the risk of head injury by as much as 85%. So what's the right way to wear one? A helmet should be level on the head and fit snugly. Straps should be even and tight when buckled, and there should only be enough room for one finger between the buckle and your child's chin. It should not rock back and forth or sideways. Also, be sure the helmet covers your child's forehead in case they fall forward.
They should fit 1 inch above your eyebrows. The most common wrong thing I see driving down the street is that the helmet rides on the back and you can see the forehead. That's not protecting your child.
Dr. So reminds parents that they should wear their helmets too. He adds it's important for parents to model safe behaviors so their child follows suit. Pat Lemming from Never Forgotten Animal Society has a beautiful black and white cat named Porsche ready for adoption.
Today's Save a Pet segment is made possible by Realty Executives in Action. Put the team at Realty Executives in action for you.
Hi everyone, this is Pat with Never Forgotten Animal Society at 3091 North David Street off of Bella Vista in the north part of Pahrump. I am here with Portia. She is a sweet, sweet girl. She's a 3-year-old girl that was found, she was abandoned in a home. And by all rights, she should really not like people very much right now. But she, as you can see, is just a love. She really, really likes being held. She wants to be petted. She wants to be in your lap. She really is a sweet, sweet girl. Again, she's 3 years old. Our adoption fees right now until the 15th on all adult cats will be $50. And the same for all of our adult dogs. Puppies are going to be $350, and kittens will be $100. All of these fees include their spay, neuter, microchip, all of their vaccinations, and rabies certificate. So if you're interested, please come on by. We're here Monday through Saturday from 10 until 5 every day. No appointment is necessary. You are welcome to come in anytime and visit with our kids, and hopefully be able to find the one that is going to work into your home. This is Portia. She's a 3-year-old black and white female. She has been spayed, and she is ready to go home. So if you're interested, please come by and see Portia. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Ghostbusters of Nye County for the fundraiser they did for us on Free Comic Day at Hypno Comics on East Street on Saturday. They were very, very instrumental in raising some funds for us so that we could take care of some dental issues and some operations that some of our kids need. This is the only way that we can get that money to make that happen. And I want to really thank Peter and the Ghostbusters of Nye County and Hypno Comics for hosting it. And we really do appreciate all the efforts that they put forward on our behalf. So a shout out to them. And remember, come on by. We're at 3091 North David Street off of Bell Vista in the north part of town, open Monday through Saturday from 10 until 5. You're more than welcome to come in anytime. Thanks.
It was another gorgeous day today in Nye County. The Lerner and Rowe weather cam shows us that much. John will have the latest weather forecast for us coming up after the break. Pretty out there, isn't it?
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Here's John with the latest weather forecast.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. This is John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios and worldwide on the local BTV app. The app you should get on your phone. Get on that. It's a good idea. Fernley, 67 degrees. Fallon at 68. Feels pretty good. Carson City at 65. You dang near made the cool spot award. That would be Tonopah at 64 today. It's a gorgeous 67 out in Goldfield. Beatty sweating it at 77. 83 in Amargosa makes you the hot spot with Vegas number 2 at 82. And out in Death Valley, it's 93. They're sweating with relief that it's not 300 degrees already. Here on the Paradise Brump, let's take a look. Oh, current temperature 77. 79 just a little bit earlier. The winds out of the south-southwest felt great at 15 miles per hour. Not too bad, not too constant today. Sun rose this morning at 5:41 a.m. Setting this evening, let's look for it to go away about 7:39. We'll stretch that day out just a little bit longer. Picking up another couple of minutes of daylight as we head to our low tonight of 36 degrees under clear skies. Going to be gorgeous sky watching tonight. And as we head on into the week, more of the same. We got some clear days ahead of us. Thursday, Friday. Pick up some clouds on Saturday, Sunday. But look at those temperatures rocketing up to 92, 91. Nice weekend ahead of us. My gosh. And it continues on in the low 90s through the week. We do pick up some cloud cover. There was a talk of a possibility of rain. It didn't sound like anything threatening, so we didn't add the rain to the clouds graphic here, but I think it's going to be just a nice stretch of weather. We're really looking forward to it. Hope you got some good plans going for this weekend, all right? Back to the desk. Here's Missy.
I like the look of that. Thanks, John. Well, that's going to wrap things up for News 25 tonight. I'm Missy Kohler. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good evening.